Om. 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram Namah Shri Shankarananda Guru Padam Pujanmane Savila Samaha Moha Grahat Grasaika Karmani. Okay, so we'll read the verses we covered before and then we will continue. We'll read from 65 to 70, right? Yadyatha vartate tasya tathatvam bhati manataha anyathatvam brahmeneti nyayoyam sarvalokikaha evam shruti vicharat prad yatha yadvastu bhasate vicharena viparyeti tatastacchintyatam diyat bhinne viyatsati shabda bhedad buddhescha bhedatah vaivadishvanuvrittam sat natu vyometi bhedadvihi sadvastvadikrivrittitvat dharmi vyomnastu dharmata ya satah pratakare bruhi vyomakimatmakam avakashatmakam tachet asattaditi chintyatam bhinnam sato asachaneti takshi chedvyahatistava bhati ti ched bhatu nama bhushanam maikasya tata yada sadbhasamanam tata mithya swapna gajadivata. Okay. One clarification I'll make and then we move on. Last time there was a question about this word vritti. So here there are two words that are being used. The words here are used anuvrittam and adhika vritti. Both mean that which is existing, that which is pervading. Vritti can also mean thought, but in this context, when we hear anuvritta or adhika vritti, it means that which exists or pervades. Okay, so now where are we at in Panchadashi? Now in Panchadashi, we are in the chapter about that tattva viveka, discerning the truth from the 5 elements, and we are in the element of space. And how we started last time is knowledge, or what we call prama, means seeing or understanding a thing as it is. So when we talk about what is the definition of knowledge, the definition of knowledge is yadyatha vartate, just the way exactly it is, tatha bhati, that's the way we know it. So in Adhyasa Bhashya, it's Vastu Swarupa Avadharana. So when we know a thing as it is, then it's called knowledge. When there is some kind of shade in there, some kind of wrong notion, some kind of coloring of our mind, then that's not knowledge, that's called illusion or Brahma. So when we know something different from what it is, it's called Brahma, illusion. like the snake on the rope. So being able to see and cognize the rope, that is knowledge. We're seeing the rope for what it is. But when we're not seeing the rope for what it is, we're seeing it as a snake, that's called illusion. And how do we tell the difference in this world between what is knowledge and what is illusion? It says, Shruti Vicharat. So in verse 66, it says, due to the inquiry into our Vedic passages. This is how we are able to know what a thing really is. Okay, now why are you telling us all of this? Because we want to know what these 5 elements really are. What is their real nature? Because we are trying to discern them from reality. So first, let's take space and let's take sat or existence. These 2 things, okay? Let's try to ascertain what is the nature of space. So the first thing he does is, let me tell you, there's a difference between space and existence. There are 2 different words. We use 2 different words. We use space and existence, and they're not synonymous words. They're 2 different words, so obviously they connote different things. And we saw before that space has the property of accommodating, and existence. It has 2 things, but existence has only existence. We also saw that space, if you look at it in a different way, space has the property of being able to transmit sound. It is a place where sound can reverberate, and it has existence. But existence only has existence. So looking at their words, looking at their properties, they're different. Further, there's another difference. Another big difference is we see that sat in 67, this word anuvrittam. Sat or existence, it pervades and permeates everything. It is there in space, existence is there in air, in fire, in water, in earth. Existence is there in and through everything. So because it's extremely pervasive, it is all pervasive, it is different from space, because space is not all pervasive. It's called nunavritti. It's not all pervasive because it's not in and through everything. It is true that space accommodates things. Space, there is space that accommodates this room, this computer, this floor, etc. But it is not in and through every single thing. That's why we hear, even in our daily life, we hear such expressions as limited space available, right? Limited space, or no space here, right? Or the space is full, you have to find another place. You go to a restaurant on a Saturday night, so we have no place to seat you, right? So even in our daily life, we see that space is something limited. It's not something that it's in and through everything. It may accommodate things, but it's not in and through every single thing. And especially, it is not in existence. Existence is in space, air, fire, water, earth, everything. But space is not in everything, and space is definitely not in existence. And further, in our common parlance, we do say, this exists, right? This is. We understand that isness is there in everything. So we say, this is. This is. This computer is. We understand isness is everywhere. Okay, so what does this mean? This means that because space is all pervasive, right? Space is all pervasive, then it is the substratum. It's the substratum, right? It is that which is the substance. And existence. Existence pervades everything. Existence pervades everything. and therefore it is the substance, and space is the property. Why are we rectifying this? Because we had that confusion before when we normally say space exists. When we say space exists, we take space to be the substance and existence to be the property. And this is where the whole illusion is. We say space exists, we think space is the substance, existence is its property, and all the attention is focused on space. But this is flipping it around. It's telling us that existence is the substance. It's the substance because it is all-pervading. It is all-pervading. Existence is the substance and space is the property or attribute. Yes? Clear? Like gold is the substance and bangle is the attribute, right? Because gold is a substance because it's everywhere. It's in bangle, it's in necklace, it's in earring. But bangle is only an attribute because bangle is not in the, it's not in the necklace, it's not in the earring. So existence is the substance, space is the property. Okay, this far we got. Okay, now what happens? Okay, now let's come back to the topic. We're trying to assert what is the nature of space. What is space as it is? Because you brought up this whole topic. What is space as it is? Now, if existence is the substance and space is the property, they are different from each other. We are clear, the substance and the property, they're different from each other. If they are different from each other, then what happens? What happens is existence is existence, and what's different from existence has to be non-existence. Right? Right? What's different from existence has to be non-existence. Therefore, space is non-existent. This is what he's telling us. He's telling us, so space is non-existent. But yet we see space. It appears. So then it's not absolutely non-existent, but it's apparently existing. And this apparently existing thing is called mithya. Mithya or false. It is false. It's not absolute existence. It's not absolute non-existence. It is what we call something that is false. It's an illusion. And this definition is very clear in verse 70, that yad asat bhasaman, that which is not there but appears, that's called mithya. Okay, so this is where this is what we did last week. Okay, so I'll summarize in 2 minutes and then I will we will go into the definition of mithya a little bit here. So what is the problem now? I'll give you the whole train of thought in shortcuts so that you're with me. We want to assert what space really is. We want to understand what it really is because we're trying to discern it from existence. Okay, fine. Okay, so space, first of all, let me tell you the nature of space. So it said what the nature of space is. It's able to accommodate and it has existence, but existence just has existence. Space is capable of transmitting sound and it has existence. Existence just has existence. So space and existence are clearly different from each other. Not only that, but existence is all-pervading and space is not. It pervades, but in a limited way. Therefore, what is the relationship between the two? Existence is the substance and space is the attribute. And when we say attribute, it is the apparent appearance of a name and a form. So existence is the substance, actually, and space is the attribute. Not like how we used to think it was. Okay, so now one is a substance, one is the attribute. So they're different from each other. Now, if your substance is existence and the attribute is non-existence, then if your substance is existence, then the attribute has to be non-existent. It has to be non-existent. It has to be different from each other. So space is non-existent, but yet it appears. So therefore, it's called illusion, mithya. So what is the nature of space that is ascertained in this logical inquiry? The nature of space then is mithya. It's false. Now, one more definition of mithya I'm going to give you through Mandukya Upanishad, because I think this term is very important. And it comes again and again and again. And one logical way is what Swami Vidyaranyaji showed us. Now, this is another logical way to ascertain that something is mithya. Okay? I'll read the verse and then I will explain. Adavante chayannasti vartamane vitattatha vitathai sadrisha santaha avitatha iva lakshitaha. So this comes in Mandukya Upanishad, Vaitatya Prakarana, the second chapter. It's the 6th verse. So if you want to look more into it, I recommend that you do. Very nice verse. What is mithya? What is falsity or illusion? Adav ante, that in the beginning is not there, and in the end it's not there. So something in the beginning is not there, in the end is not there, and vartamane pi tat tatha. And even in the middle, if it appears to exist, it's actually not there. Even in the middle, if it appears to exist, it's actually not there. This is called vitatha. This is called unreal or falsity. But those who are not, who don't know the truth, they think that this is reality. So now let us think of an example, few examples here. First, we will start with something gross, and slowly we'll come to existence in space. First, you think of a potato. All I want you to think of is a potato. You're thinking of a potato, and what about this potato? You want to make a meal. So you want something hot. You want maybe mashed potatoes. Okay. Now, in the beginning, the potato is not hot. It's not hot, right? And in the middle, you boil the potato, so it becomes hot. And then at the end, after you make your mashed potatoes, you put the mashed potatoes in the table, but after like 5 minutes, again, it becomes cold, right? So what happens? Before you have cold potato, after you have cold potato, in the middle you have hot potato. Is the potato hot? It has borrowed heat. Borrowed heat. Heat is not intrinsic to the potato. It's not intrinsic to the potato. Because before it was cold, after it is cold, in the middle, even if it appears to be hot, it's really cold, but it's borrowing heat from something else. So that's clear. So is the potato really hot? No, it has borrowed heat. Now, another example. This now is the example in verse 70. We didn't really go through this example, so I'm going through now. Swapna gajadivat, like a elephant seen in dream, like an elephant seen in dream. What is this elephant now? Elephant seen in dream. Before I had the dream, there was no elephant. No? Before there's no elephant. At the time I have the dream, elephant is there. And when I wake up from the dream, elephant is not there. So is the elephant there or not? In the beginning, it didn't exist. In the time of my dream, it exists. And when I wake up, it doesn't exist anymore. So existence is not its intrinsic property. It borrows it. It borrows it. Existence is not intrinsic in that dream elephant. This is clear? So that borrowed existence is called mithya. Now, let us look at space. Let us look at space. So, before they say that there was no space. Now, this is not me saying. So many scientists will say Big Bang and then space and time came. Upanishads also say that in the beginning there was no space, there was only Sat. So if we take this from a macrocosmic level, in the beginning there was no space, only existence. Then now there is space, an appearance of space. And then at the time of dissolution, there is no space. Space and time also go, right? Now this is macrocosmic level, little harder to understand, but take microcosmic level. When we are awake, there is space. But when we are sleeping, there is no space. So what does this tell us? That existence is not intrinsic in space. It's not intrinsic in space because it keeps losing existence. Sometimes it's existing, sometimes it's not existing. Right? Sometimes it's existing now, but when I go to sleep, it's not existing anymore. So it has this kind of existence which is sometimes there, sometimes it's not there. So this kind of existence wherein sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not there, we call it borrowed existence because it's not intrinsic in space. And therefore, you come to the question, does space exist? Does space exist? Dependently it exists, but not otherwise. On its own, it does not exist. If it existed on its own, it would exist all the time. But existence is not intrinsic in space. So now, one more example. This book. Does it exist or not? Now it exists. Now it doesn't. Right? So its existence intrinsic in it. Now it's existing. Now it's not existing. So its existence is it's coming up and going, coming and going. Means its existence is depending on us, on that awareness. So this kind of thing is called illusion, where the existence is borrowed. Existence is spotty. It comes and it goes. It doesn't have an existence on its own. Space cannot say, I am space. It doesn't have existence on its own. This is called mithya. This is why these elements are considered unreal, illusory. This is why the world is also considered illusory, because the world depends on us, awareness, for its existence. It cannot exist on its own right. It cannot. Mhm. This is clear. We have to give, we have to give a little bit of thought to this. It's very, very deep. It's very deep. It needs a lot of thought. He will say, he will, again, somebody will object this, and then Swami Vidyaranyaji is going to tell us a very nice thing, which we all actually feel. So let us see verse 71, and then we will go through what Swami Vidyaranyaji is going to say. Jati vyakti dehi deho, jati vyakti dehi deho, Gunadravye yatha prithak, Gunadravye yatha prithak, Viyat satos tathaivastu, Viyat satos tathaivastu, Parthakyam kotra vismayaha, Parthakyam kotra vismayaha, Jati vyakti dehi deho, Gunadravye yatha prithak, Viyat satos tathaivastu, Parthakyam kotra vismayaha. One more objection that is brought is that I feel like I'm always seeing existence and space together. I'm always seeing them together. So how can they be different? Meaning, I'm always seeing them together in the sense that I'm always seeing space with existence. Because existence can be without space. This we very well know in deep sleep. But I'm always seeing space with existence. So I feel like they're always together. You said one is more pervasive than the other, but I'm seeing them together. So he says here, Jati Vyakti. Jati means species and Vyakti means a individual. So for example, cowness and cow. Cowness is the species and cow is the being. Now you'll always see cowness with cow, but they're still different. They're still different. So cowness is like this kind of species or kind of attribute, and the cow is the individual. They're together seen, but they're different. Dehi deho. Dehi here means the jiva or the individual being, and deha means body. So we always see the individual being and the body, right? Individual being and the body together, but they're different. They're different. Guna dravye. We also see like a quality and a substance. So guna means like maybe a color or quality, like yellow, let's say yellow, and the dravya, the substance, cloth. We see them together, but yet they're separate. They're different. So even if we see space and existence together, and whenever you see space, you see existence, right? Because existence is the substratum of space. Even if you always see them together, they are different. They are different, just like these examples which were given, the species and the individual being, the individual body, and the quality and the substance. So yatha prithak, in that way, that difference, Viyat satoho tathaivastu, that partakyam, that distinction is also there between Viyat, Viyat is space, and Sat, which is existence. Kaha atra vismayaha, what is there to wonder at? So they are different, but really, when we think about it truly, there's only existence. Space is just an illusion. It is an apparent reality. So space is just illusion. Existence is really, really the only thing. We say that they're different in the beginning just to draw that there's two things. And when that becomes very clear, we understand there's one substratum upon which everything appears. And you cannot count that appearance as one. It's zero. So 1 plus 0 is 1. Now, the student asks a very poignant question. It says, I'm getting it, but I'm not getting it. I'm slowly understanding it, but I'm not firm in it yet. What's happening here? So Swami Vidyaranyaji is exactly reading our minds, because this is a very important part of Vedanta. To understand that we are Atman beyond the body, mind, and intellect, that is a little bit easier to do. But to understand that we are Brahman, the substratum of the entire world, that takes a lot of thought, a lot of deep thought. So now Swami Vidyaranyaji, he understands this. He says, Buddho pibhedo no chitte, Buddho pibhedo no chitte, nirudim yati chetada, nirudim yati chetada, anaikagryat samshayadva, anaikagryat samshayadva, rudhyabhavosya te vada, rudhyabhavosya te vada, buddho pibhedo no chitte, nirudhim yati chetada, anaikagryat samshayadva, rudhyabhavosya te vada. So he says here, Buddhaha api. Okay, intellectually, one understands. Buddha means intellectual understanding is there. That bhedaha, that there is some distinction between space and existence. Again, what is the distinction? That existence is the substratum and space is the attribute. Existence is absolute reality and space is apparent reality. It's an illusion, right? Why? Because space has borrowed existence. So this, logically, we can understand that space has borrowed existence because it's not always existing. If existence was its nature, it would always exist, but it doesn't exist all the time. So intellectually, we can grasp it, but no chitte nirudim yati. No here means no. In the mind, nirudim yati means that firmness has not come in our mind yet. Intellectually, we can start to grasp it, but we don't have that firmness, that firm, deep conviction yet. Why is that? So Swami Vidyaranyaji says, Shetada, if this is the case, if this is the case where you're saying you have that grasp, but it's not firm, there could be two problems. What are the problems? The first problem is anaikagriya, due to lack of focus. That's problem number 1. Problem number 2, samshayat, doubts. Because of these, rudya bhavaha, there is an absence of firmness of this knowledge. So he says, the problem lies in this. The first is lack of focus. What does lack of focus mean? See, for any knowledge, so let us say lack of focus, let's say for somebody who has clarity. Let us say we have clarity, we're getting that clarity, but it's not firm. Lack of focus means that the mind is unable to hold that thought deeply. See, clarity, when does clarity become conviction? This is a very important step in Vedanta. When does clarity become conviction? It becomes conviction when we keep thinking and thinking and thinking about it. And we hold our thoughts there without letting it get distracted in so many other avenues. Normally, what happens is when we want to hone in on a thought and just stay there, inevitably some distraction comes from somewhere. So we're not able to hold it. So anaikagriya means that inability to hold it together. Agra means 1 point. Eka agra means 1 point. Anaikagriya means many points. So instead of focusing on 1 point, the mind is just focusing on many points. And because we're not giving it that depth of focus, then that conviction doesn't come. What happens with this is we get a glimpse. Why? Because we're only able to hold for that amount. So much, how much ever we're able to hold, that much of a glimpse we get. This much glimpse. We will not get a bright, shining kind of knowledge unless we hold our attention there deeply. So problem number 1 is the lack of focus. What is problem number 2? Problem number 2 is samshaya. Samshaya means it doubts. That's our next problem, is doubts. So what do we do if we have doubts? Here, we have to write things down. We have to write things down very, very clearly and see where is the doubt. Because very often we're not also able to tell where is our doubt. We go on and on and on. We're not able to also say exactly this part is my doubt. So we have to write down exactly what we've understood and know where is the doubt. And that doubt is called dvikoti jnanam. Dvikoti jnanam, it is because the mind is going in 2 directions. It's going like a pendulum. It could go either here or there, here or there. So if the mind is going here or there, if this is the picture of the mind, that is called doubt. It's not sure if it's this or not sure if it's that. Did we lock the house before we left? Oh, I don't know. Did we turn off the light? Oh, I don't know. That dvikoti jnanam, like a pendulum, is a doubt. And doubt is also called sandeha. Daha means to burn. So when knowledge is as though burnt out, it's called doubt. And doubt is also called samshaya from the root word shi, which means to sleep. So when knowledge goes to sleep, it is called doubt. So if there is a doubt, then one must sit down and just spend time and write it clearly. And he will explain what to do. So he says, these are the 2 main problems for every single seeker. This jump from absolute, from clarity to absolute conviction and firmness. This is the jump. Well, because clarity can come in different levels. We can be a little bit clear, medium clear, but when it becomes totally, totally clear, then we can reach that point of firm conviction. And that's why in Vedanta, there is a difference, There's something called prajna. Prajna means knowledge, but there's something called sthita prajna, the one who's steady in knowledge. So there's knowledge, the one who has knowledge, but the one who's steady in knowledge. There's something called jnana, knowledge. There's something called vijnana, somebody who's rooted in that knowledge. So they always use these terms to show that there is some kind of transition required. There's a firmness required. And we should not stop until we get that firmness. Because the knowledge has to be so rooted that the feeling, how rooted does it have to be? It has to be so rooted that the feeling, I am the body, feels so strange. It feels so strange to feel like I'm the body. It feels so strange to feel like I'm the mind. It has to feel like that. Somebody tells you you're the ego. What? How can that be? If somebody tells us the world is real, what? What are you talking about? It has to be so firm that I'm not able to grasp how reality is given to all of this. Because one is so rooted in that all of it is an illusion. And the only reality is that truth within. So what is the solution for this? Now he will give in verse 73. Apramatto bhava dhyanat. Apramatto bhava dhyanat. Adenyasmin vivechanam. Adenyasmin vivechanam. Guru pramanayuktebhyam. Guru pramanayuktebhyam. Tato rudhatamo bhavet. Tato rudhatamo bhavet. Apramatto bhava dhyanat. Adenyasmin vivechanam. Guru pramanayuktebhyam. Tato rudhatamo bhavet. So he says, apramattaha bhava. If the problem is lack of focus, anaikagriya, says apramattaha bhava means become attentive. Bhava, become. Apramattaha, attentive. Pramada means negligence. Apramatta, attentive. How do you become attentive? Dhyana, the practice of dhyana. What does dhyana mean? Dhyana means tatra pratyaya ekatanta. In that knowledge, keep one thought flow, just one thought flow on that knowledge. So if I'm sitting down and I'm contemplating on existence, sit and just let all the thoughts flow in that direction and keep going in that direction. Just one motion after the other. It is like how any scientist, mathematician, an artist even, how they're able to just think thoroughly in one direction without any distraction. I'm sure all of us have experienced this kind of dhyana. But we're not doing dhyana or contemplation on sat, where I'm sure we're doing it on something else, right? So we've experienced this kind of thing where we are able to hold our thought thoroughly in one direction. Holding that thought is called dhyana. Dhyana. Anyesmin. But what if my problem is doubt? Anyesmin. For the other one, vivechanam, proper inquiry. Proper inquiry, wherein again I go back. Again I think, okay, how is this possible? How did this become this? How did this become that? And how does it all come together? Again, inquiry. Because this is where enlightenment lies. Enlightenment lies on a mind which is free from doubt and free from distraction. Only that mind can really be rooted in the knowledge. So again, continuous inquiry, I mean, this is where it's at. This is really where it's at. Vedanta is a thinking. It's a lot of thinking. It's a thinking process. lot of thinking. So intellectual inertia is not allowed. Guru pramana yuktibhyam. And how do we do this? How do we do this vichara or inquiry? Pramana yuktibhyam. Pramana means based on the Upanishads, based on the right means of knowledge, followed by logic. So take those teachings from the scriptures and logically see how that is possible. Pramana yuktibhyam. What happens after we do that? Tato rudhatamo bhaved. Then the knowledge becomes very, very firm. So this is what he's saying. This is what Swami Vidyaranand is saying. When there is absolute clarity, then only one can focus. So this is another important point, is that if I want to focus deeply on something, I must have gone through that vichara, that inquiry, and have clarity. So if I want to focus on the unreality of this world, then I must be able to be very, very clear about it. Only then I can deeply focus on that thought. Because if I focus on something without clarity, it's going to be bumpy. But why is it like this? But why is it like that? But why is it like that? So only focus on something that we have absolute clarity about. And then slowly and gradually, it becomes rooted. One becomes rooted. It's a gradual process. To be rooted in knowledge is a gradual process. At first, one might think it's a joke. What do you mean this world is not real? We might come to this like that. Then after that, we will think, could possibly true. And then we might think, probable. It's very, very probable. And then after that, there's no thinking anymore. We will know. Definitely it's true. So we go through these kinds of phases and then eventually become rooted in that knowledge. So today we will stop here. We'll say the closing prayers, and then if there are any questions, we can take that. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.